Throughout human history, we've basically been hunted. But not by beasts with sharp teeth, right? We're talking about invisible predators, microscopic phantoms rising out of deep jungles and bustling cities, literally altering the course of human events. Welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving into the data, the history, and the hardcore science to unmask our most lethal microscopic enemies.
So what is the absolute deadliest virus in human history? I mean, it sounds like a totally simple question, doesn't it? But the truth is terrifyingly complex, and honestly, it's going to completely change how you view your own vulnerability.
If we're just measuring by the pure certainty of death, the answer is near 100%. Pathogens like the rabies virus are an absolute nightmare. Once the clinical symptoms of rabies actually manifest, well, there is essentially no cure. It's a terrifying 100% certainty.
To really wrap our heads around this, epidemiologists measure deadliness using something called the case fatality rate, or CFR. Basically, this is just the proportion of people diagnosed with the disease who actually die from it. It shows us exactly how likely an infection is to end in a fatality. Now, rabies has a CFR of roughly 100% without immediate treatment, but it's definitely not the only heavy hitter out there.
And the data brilliantly illustrates this. When we rank the top 10 killers by mortality rate, we very quickly drop from the absolute certainty of rabies down to what we call the bleeding terrors, Zaire, Ebola virus, and Marburg. These guys belong to a family called filoviruses, and with fatality rates ranging from 50 to over 90%, they are, quite frankly, some of the most visceral, aggressive killers on Earth.
Let's zoom in a bit on the Zaire Ebola virus. The horror of this particular virus isn't just in what it does to the human body, it's baked right into its very structure. When scientists look at Ebola under an electron microscope, it doesn't look like your typical round virus. Instead, it forms these long, stretched-out threads. And chillingly enough, these viral particles often curve into the shape of a literal number 6. I mean, it is the microscopic shape of terror. And this microscopic terror can ignite a global emergency in a flash. Just look at the massive 2014 West Africa Ebola outbreak. You can see how transmission moved incredibly rapidly through Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. It devastated entire communities in a matter of weeks, just spreading aggressively through direct person-to-person contact.
But where do these terrifying outbreaks actually come from? Well, the science points to natural reservoir hosts, most likely fruit bats. The virus just lives silently inside the bats, eventually passes to primates like gorillas, and finally jumps to humans, usually through hunting or preparing meat. Literally, one single introduction from the animal kingdom is all it takes to spark a total nightmare.
Once that jump happens, the clock is officially ticking. After an incubation period of anywhere from 2 to 21 days, a filovirus infection starts deceptively. You just get these sudden flu-like symptoms. But then it rapidly evolves into a severe clinical decline. We're talking about severe hemorrhagic complications, which means uncontrollable bleeding, followed really quickly by shock and multiple organ failure. It is incredibly lethal. But here is the real cliffhanger. Despite this terrifying profile, Ebola actually isn't the virus that's claimed the most human lives. For that, we have to look at a completely different type of threat.
And that brings us to the lethality paradox. See, rabies is essentially 100% fatal once symptoms start, but the 1918 flu, it had a vastly lower case fatality rate, yet it left an estimated 50 million people dead. The true deadliest viruses in history aren't always the ones that kill every single host they touch. They are the ones that spread to the most people.
This quote from epidemiologist Jennifer Nuzzo just hits the nail on the head. The danger of a virus isn't just about its biology, it's about our vulnerability. It's about transmissibility, human movement, and the exact environments where the virus thrives. A highly contagious virus with a really low fatality rate can ultimately cause a far greater catastrophe than a highly lethal one that just burns itself out quickly.
Part 1. The historical wipeouts, smallpox, and the 1918 flu. So, let's shift our scale from those localized horrors to literal global wipeouts. First up is smallpox, caused by the variola virus. Its resume of destruction is honestly almost incomprehensible. Just in the 20th century alone, it killed up to 500 million people. With a 30% fatality rate, its severe hemorrhagic form literally made the skin look burnt. And when it was introduced to the Americas, it decimated indigenous populations who had absolutely zero prior immunity, wiping out massive percentages of entire nations. Now, the incredibly contagious nature of smallpox also intersects with some really dark moments in human warfare. Back in 1763, during the Siege of Fort Pitt, historical correspondence from Lord Geoffrey Amherst revealed a plot to send smallpox-infected blankets among Native American tribes. Long before modern medicine even existed, the devastating, contagious nature of this virus was actively recognized as a brutal tool for destruction.
Then, fast forward to the modern era's first great viral catastrophe, the 1918 flu pandemic. 50 million dead. And honestly, that is the low-end estimate. An astonishing 1/3 of the entire global population became infected. But what made it uniquely terrifying was its target. Unlike most flus, it disproportionately killed healthy, young adults right in the prime of their lives, between the ages of 20 and 40. Part 2. The Global Spreaders, HIV/AIDS and COVID-19.
Welcome to the modern era, where globalization has armed these invisible predators with unprecedented reach. Take HIV/AIDS, for example. Without modern treatment, HIV is 99% fatal. But the catch? It doesn't kill in a matter of days like Ebola. It plays a long, incredibly stealthy game, systematically destroying the immune system over a period of years. And this super-long incubation allows it to spread silently across populations way before anyone even knows it's there.
The sheer scale of this silent spread is staggering. By 2015, nearly 39 million people worldwide were living with HIV. At the epidemic's peak, around 2005, it was claiming roughly 1.8 million lives every single year. It is a terrifying masterclass in how a virus can use our own human behaviors and long incubation timelines to establish a massive, deadly global footprint.
And this brilliantly exposes our ultimate modern vulnerability: speed. Think about it. An Ebola outbreak spreads locally over weeks. The 1918 flu took months to cross oceans on steamships. But the SARS-CoV-2 virus? Modern air travel essentially weaponized human mobility, allowing it to traverse the entire globe in a mere 36 hours.
When you look at raw mortality, the lethality paradox becomes incredibly clear here. The COVID-19 case fatality rate was generally less than 1%. Yet, propelled by extreme transmissibility and modern global travel, it caused an estimated 15 million deaths worldwide in just 2 years. A fast-spreading virus is a world-altering threat, totally regardless of its baseline fatality rate.
Part 3, our greatest weapon: awareness, science, and community.
But look, while viruses are the ultimate invisible predators, humanity is far from defenseless. We fight back through understanding. By tracking zoonotic transmission, how diseases actually jump from animals to humans, we can predict outbreaks. We use non-pharmaceutical interventions like isolation and hygiene, alongside incredible modern vaccines and antiviral therapies. With every single outbreak, we learn, we adapt, and we fight back.
And we actually have absolute proof that we can win this fight. 1980, that was the exact year the World Health Organization officially declared that smallpox, a disease that had killed hundreds of millions, that had plagued humanity for over 3,000 years, was eradicated. Through a massive, coordinated global vaccination effort, humanity completely wiped a deadly virus off the face of the earth.
So, we've looked at the terrifying 100% fatality rate of rabies, the bleeding horrors of Ebola, the historical devastation of smallpox, and the lightning-fast global spread of COVID-19. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final provocative question to think about. Which of these viruses do you think changed human history the most? Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. Stay curious, stay informed, and we'll catch you next time.